Hey you geeks! Today we cover the most important issue raised by Rhythm of War, annihilating a shard by creating its opposite.
Get in, loser!
To do this, we must first consider the shard as a whole, define its opposition, measure its infinity, and then consider the ramifications. While I cannot entirely account for Sanderson's fancy, based on the premises presented in Rhythm of War, I have a few ideas. In short, all the Radiants have to do is watch a Fabrial clock outside in a Highstorm and then do an excremental ton of math. At length, well, there will be spoilers through Rhythm of War, but not Dawnshard. Fallen Stars. To destroy a shard, we must first know what it is. Shards are massive, pressurized entities consisting only of their investiture, as Dalinar saw when he confronted Odium. An eternal, all-embracing flame, it stretched in every direction, starting as red, moving to orange, then changing to a blazing white. Then, somehow, the flames seemed to burn into a deep blackness, violet and angry. This was something so terrible that it consumed light itself. Odium's flame, that is, Odium's investiture, is a new form of light, physically and philosophically distinct from natural illumination. Philosophically, Aristotle categorized natural illumination as light is certainly not a body, for two bodies cannot be present in the same place. This tracks with what we physically know of light, since photons have practically no mass. They are particles without matter. Pure energy are just really, really small waves.
A wave and a particle, we're walking side by side. One said to the other, which one of us am I?
Investiture particles, however, are a body which seem to be able to be in the same place at the same time. That's one of Rhythm of War's main points. The bodies mix when the shard's intents align. Adding intention to illumination is nothing new. In the Paradiso, Brightness Beatrice described a new light that formed heavenly bodies, planets and stars, controlled by divine intelligences. However, the new lights of the Paradiso are able to be of the same substance with each other. In the light's depths, I saw substances and accidents and their modes as if conjoined together in such a way that what I describe is a simple light. Unlike the new light, I do not think that the different types of investiture can be consubstantial with each other. Sanderson has bound their investiture particles to their matter, to their mass, as Yasna mentions at the Battle of Thalen Field. It seemed you were soul casting to give your illusions weight, but then concentrated Stormlight has a faint mass to it. Mass is the measure of the amount of matter in an object, while weight is the amount of force due to gravity on an object. Though technically the new light in the Paradiso is a part of the eternal mass, which happens once every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And that's the height of Catholic physics humor. Investiture waves, also like Dante's new light, carries the music of the spheres and travels space. This correlates to a plasma state of matter without too much distinction, and frankly, a freakishly high number of similarities. Thus, shards are heavenly bodies whose matter flickers between liquid, gas, and plasma states, like stars.
I always thought they were balls of gas burning billions of miles away.
Pumbaa, with you, everything's gas.
But unlike stars, shards need a person or a vessel to maintain their pressure and shape. Without a person to hold the investiture, the shard collapses onto itself. It falls.
You fall in flames.
When stars get so massive that they collapse in on themselves in the real world, they form black holes. And we've already seen signs that vessel-less shards act peculiarly like black holes. When Taravangian picked up Odium's shard, his mind and spirit went through spaghettification. Taravangian's vision expanded. His mind expanded. His essence expanded. Time started to lose meaning. He became the power. Spaghettification is not just one of the top 10 words in the English language, but is what happens to any thing or any body that gets near the lip of a black hole. The force of the hole stretches both time and matter. Time slows down on the lip of a black hole, just as it does when the Stormfather passes by. A fuller blackness than the absence of light. It was the split moment that her father could create. Time was a funny thing. It was always flowing along in the background, like a river, but bring too much power to bear, and it warped. It slowed. The Stormfather is the largest sliver of the Shard of Honor. He is the majority of the Shard's substance collapsed into a tiny place.
Phenomenal cosmic powers!
Itty bitty living space.
The place that spews Stormlight and a fuller blackness than the absence of light. That is, I propose, anti-Stormlight in its natural state. Non-pressurized, non-explosive. Just as black holes are the source of matter and antimatter, and the only place where light can be destroyed. Destroying light. Navani goes further in messing with Aristotle. For Aristotle hypothesized that darkness was the opposite of light. Light is the presence of fire, or something resembling fire, in what is transparent. The opposite of light is darkness. Darkness is the absence of that something. Clearly, therefore, light is just the presence of that thing. However, since darkness is the mere absence of light, light's mere presence will always destroy darkness. Darkness may be, in a way, light's opposite, but it's not light's equal. The only way to annihilate matter is to hit it with antimatter. Navani discovers that this is also true in the Cosmere. What would happen if this theoretical negative light were to combine with its positive? Destruction. Instantaneous annihilation. In the real world, photons are their own antiparticle. When photons collide at the edge of black holes, they destroy each other. Sometimes.
The only thing hard enough to penetrate it is itself.
The physics of real antimatter is beyond me, but fortunately, Sanderson deals in magic. He leans heavily on the wave-like properties of Stormlight to create negative light. A wave could be negated, its opposite created, and present in a way that nullified the original, canceling it out. Could she make a tone that produced the opposite pattern? Peaks where there were troughs, troughs where there were peaks. Navani succeeds in making an anti-investiture tone, and from there an anti-investiture substance. However, it takes one more step before annihilation can occur. The substance must be pressurized. If void light and anti-void light meet in open air, you'd get no more than a pop. But these were inside a gemstone. This is where the book leaves us. Raboniel states that destroying Odium is impossible, and that's that. But are we really going to take Raboniel's word? She thought oil and water could not mix for thousands of years. She does not know how much anti-light it would take to threaten Odium. But we can measure that. The weight of time. This is why the Stormfather is so important. He slows time. We see this most impactfully as he gives Kaladin time to swear the fourth ideal. While my intellect wanted to compare how long Kaladin fell and compare it to how long his father fell. For only the force due to Roshar's gravity acted on Liren, pulling him down at a constant rate, while both the force due to Roshar's gravity and the force due to the Stormfather acted on Kaladin. And if we get specific numbers, you could calculate the force the Stormfather exerted on Kaladin, and from there, calculate the Stormfather's maths.
So get off your act, let's do some math. Math, 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 math.
I am not doing that math. Not only do I lack the data, but like Dante, I cannot do calculus. Besides, there is a slightly easier way. Clocks.
Confusion never stops, closing walls and ticking clocks.
In the real world, humans measure the stretching of time due to the force of gravity with atomic clocks. Atomic clocks are time-keeping mechanisms based on the interaction of electromagnetic radiation with the excited states of certain atoms. If you place one in the upper atmosphere and one at sea level, then bring them together again, their times will be ever so slightly off. Although Roshar is just at the beginning of their industrial revolution, they've already discovered their world's equivalent of atomic clocks. Logic Spren will vary the light they radiate based on certain stimuli. For example, if you make the light leak from a gemstone at a controlled rate, the spren will alternate dimming and brightening in a regular pattern. This has led to Fabrial clocks. Hypothetically, if you put one Fabrial clock in a storm shelter and one out in a high storm, at the end of the storm, the two clocks should read different times. Though the Stormfather's ability to slow time is magical and subjective. It is not like the sound made where no one can hear, but more like the wrongness of a man's idea said where no woman could hear. The determination is based on perception. The simple solution is to throw a radiant out in the storm to perceive the clock. I vote Yasna. It would be good for her development. And besides, she's a scholar. Using the difference in times, radiants could calculate the Stormfather's mass. Although this would not be the whole shard of Adonalsium, it's just a really, really big piece of one. A piece that, if annihilated, would effectively destroy Odium.
Works for me!
From there, all that needs to be done is create the anti-void light in equal mass to the Stormfather and find a way to stab it into the shard, pressurized by the vessel's will. Simple, but not easy. That could certainly be achieved in 5 books worth of plot, since Roshar doesn't know about the power of their clocks. Yet. Only one question remains. The question scientists often forget.
But your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
Is it right to kill a god? To my mind, the issue is whether Odium's shard would be willing to consubstantiate, that is, to become of the same substance again, with anything good. Although Warlight shows that Odium can mix with something good, Sanderson relies on a chemical mixing of 2 substances. It is not a philosophical surrender of intent as occurs when a radiant swears a new ideal. This indicates to me that true reunification is not an option. Thus, I am going to agree with Tolkien and say,
The ring must be destroyed.
Odium is a lesser god, a created entity which is seeking to emerge the universe in hatred. That's pretty much Sauron's gambit right there. I don't think the back 5 will be a complete Lord of the Rings ripoff. For starters, one does not simply walk a barrel of anti-investiture to Braze. Even if you could get through the barrier storm, the place is barren, devoid of life, endless windswept crags and a broken landscape, and a lot of not particularly sane souls. Though they would go to Rayse. First, because even if Odium has infiltrated Roshar, he is still bound to Rayse. Also, it seems wise to go to the next planet over if you're going to destroy a shard's worth of investiture. Finally, the Radiants will have to deal with pressure. If they kill the vessel, the shard will collapse in on itself and become an uncontrolled black hole of hatred. Rather, they must keep the vessel, that is Taravangian, the craftiest mind in the Cosmere, alive, and trick him into condensing on Rayse long enough to destroy his shard. That is something I've never seen before, and hope Sanderson will show it to me. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you would like to see more. Your patronage is greatly appreciated.